You want to start us off right quick, Gabe? What about you, Oz?
What we about to do?
You want to start us off right quick? I need to use the restroom.
Yeah, how y'all doing? How y'all, shalom, everybody. How y'all doing this evening? Nobody even on here. Just waiting on everybody. Get on here.
You said books, I just got everything.
Okay.
Yep. And you can't blame me. You rolled it up.
Yeah, go give me some of this word.
Okay.
It feel good in here.
But believe it or not, it be freezing cold up in this bed water.
At night?
At night, early in the morning, all the windows be sweating. Yeah. And it's over with. Right.
It's just too precious. Baby eating french fries. That baby doesn't like me.
What's the reason she don't like people?
She bats her eyes at me like
No, she does that to everybody.
on every man. It's like
She doing those too.
it's like watch your back. Like,
Wait.
that's it.
Little Miss Sassy.
4 years from now.
Don't tell me that. Supposed to be out.
Look like we'll be okay tomorrow though, huh? The world's not getting no rain.
Good.
Saw it?
I didn't look, but that's great.
I personally put that. Let me see.
Shalom.
Slow.
Slow. Sorry, there's just some good old fashioned H2O in there. I'm assuming you want another bottle of it.
What?
He was sure.
Oh, no. This was a family reunion shirt. And they just titled it like that. I just threw this on.
Yes, you like fashion sense.
No, I don't
Bad fashion
go to media shows, sir.
Cross dressers.
What's that?
Cross dressers.
Yeah. Well, I want to apologize, you guys, for my tardiness. Okay. Usually we get started on time, but we're still waiting for some more people. So we'll just hold off for a few more minutes, and then we'll get started with going over for today. Today we're gonna kind of keep it simple. Go back to some of the basics, some of the foundational principles, so that we keep them in our remembrance. Oftentimes we don't go over them enough, or we think we know them, and we forget them. So today we'll be going over some of the founding principles of what makes us believe the things we believe in as far as the scriptures, what they say. So that's what we're going to go over today, and it won't be too long, and then of course after that we'll continue with our updates as far as our weekly fun. So while we wait on whoever else is pulling up, do we have any questions or comments, any concerns, anything that you guys are seeing throughout the week that you want to bring to the body's attention? Anything like that? Okay, so I guess we can talk about that. I'll repeat it for those who are not here whenever they get here. So I did end up setting up the account. Luckily, I was mistaken, but the account does allow multiple users to have access to the account as far as opening, closing. Of course, everybody will be given access to the routing number. I will not be giving the routing number on the live. Okay, so I don't know who's all on here. Somebody could be on here that we don't know. So that type of information I will not be given online or over the phone. I'll give that in person. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Well, I'm talking about not just the routing number, the account number too. Okay. Because there are some people who wants to they want to have direct deposit come out. So I'm going to be doing that for those of you who requested. Otherwise, people can just Zelle the account. The Zelle is the email account for the congregation, which is Peculiar Treasures of Jeshurun @gmail.com. So I guess that is official now. We've been having the email, but it was always attached to the Cash App. It is now attached to the Chase checking account. Okay. Yes.
That's what I was going to ask you. Somebody was asking me how would they Zelle if they're with the credit union, then they could just Zelle it to the email address.
Correct. So Zelle is attached to phone number and email. So if you do Zelle, you just have to type it in exactly how it is. Okay. Jeshurun, Peculiar Treasures of Jeshurun. One word @gmail.com.
Text us that. Me and Naomi will text it to the group meeting. Okay. Send it to the group meeting.
Well, you guys did have access to the email account too. I don't know if you still.
Where I went yesterday, also the one in Baker, and I had to schedule an appointment. The bank teller wasn't there. He was on lunch. And he had somebody in too. So I got to go back Monday.
Oh, I could have told you that.
12:15.
Yeah, I could have told you that. They're not gonna just let you walk
I
in.
went to two banks.
Yeah, they're not gonna just. You ended up walking there. Well,
Yeah.
it depends on the branch. It depends on if they have clients who coming in that day.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always schedule it. Because when I schedule it,
Just have one banker.
no.
That's what I'm saying. If somebody going to lunch, seem like they should have somebody there. True. When they go, that don't make sense.
Well, in order.
It's much smaller. The locations, they don't really have any employees. Locations are really, if you have deposit over the
Well, she didn't go to Perkins. She went to the one.
First one I went to
Baker.
was on Plank and Hart, and the next one was in Baker. So I scheduled to go back Monday to Baker.
Well, Plank and Hardin sucks. I can tell you that right now. They suck. Correct. And the bank is Chase. Now, at any particular Chase, you'll have just regular Chase employees. These are people who just handle simple stuff, right? They don't have any type of credentials. They can, in essence, pull a random individual off the street and get them to work at a Chase Bank. Okay, the people who do like the accounts and stuff have to have certain credentials. They have to have their life license, and many of them have to have their Series 6 securities license, to which that's a difficult accomplishment to undertake. So depending on the branch and depending upon how many clients that branch has, depends on who's there and whatnot. And so that's why it's better to just schedule ahead of time. I know with Keisha, after we had that conversation last Sabbath, she didn't even have any available appointments Monday, because I said I would get it done Monday. But when I looked at the scheduling, she didn't have anything available Monday. The first available date was Tuesday. So that's why I ended up doing Tuesday. But yes. But you were able to set up everything. So you want to tell her everything that you had to do so that she can know what to expect?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was perfect. We already had that conversation. Now, as far as the account, like I said, those of you who want it or want to set up something with your job or something like that, I can easily just give you the routing number and the account number. And then we could just have it transfer like that, so you don't have to do the Zelle. Or if you want to do the Zelle, all you need to do is Zelle it through the Peculiar Treasures of Jeshurun at gmail.com contact information. That's it. Yes. So I'll send it to you and Gabe right quick. Well, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it after service. Yeah. No, there's no picture. So this is the account name, okay? So we should all know how to spell Jeshurun. There's two ways to spell it, okay? But the way that I spelled it whenever we created the name was Jeshurun. As a matter of fact, let's go and read that scripture, just so that we can have it as a foundational principle of as a foundational principle. I'm sorry. We about to read it. It's Jeshurun. Yes. Jeshurun. So we're going to Deuteronomy chapter 32. Deuteronomy 32. Probably better if we just go to Deuteronomy 33. Well, I'm not going to read that one. Let's just go to Deuteronomy 33, next chapter over. Okay. We're going to read verses 1 through 5. And then we're going to jump to verse 26. So, here in Deuteronomy 33, starting at verse 1, it says, "And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir. Unto them he shined forth from Mount Paran, and he came with 10,000 of his saints from his right hand with a fiery law for them. Yea, he loved the people all the saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet, every one shall receive thy words. And Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. And he was king in Jeshurun, when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. The he that was the king in Jeshurun is talking about the Most High. And he gave us these commandments, this law, as an inheritance. It says, to the congregation of Jacob.
He is the Most High?
Correct. He, here, is talking about the Father. How do we know that? Because when you jump to verse 26, it states, there is none like unto the God of Jeshurun, who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and in his excellency on the sky. The eternal God is thy refuge. Underneath are the everlasting arms. He shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall destroy them. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon the land of corn and wine, and also his heaven shall drop down dew. Excuse me. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people, saved by the Lord, the shield and thy help. And who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. So again, everything in this chapter is speaking about the Most High blessing the children of Israel. But the point is, we read this to show that the way that it's spelled, the way that Jeshurun is spelled here is how it's spelled on the name of our pot. It's spelled exactly like that. So there's no need to guess or look it up. All you have to do, we gave the foundational scriptures here in Deuteronomy 33, and particularly in verse 5 and 26. This is the spelling of the account. Like I said, I can give whoever wants it. I'm not going to state it online here because I'm not aware of who is on the live. There could be somebody who, there's plenty of times when we get people on the live who don't even know who it is. So I won't give it on the live. I will give it in person to those of you who are here. As far as that is concerned, just to give an update on it. As I told you guys last week, all the funds from the Cash App was transferred from the Cash App to this account. Now, I will give you guys an update, okay? On the Cash App, when I transfer the funds, the last 4 digits of the account that it was stating was being transferred was not the last 4 digits of the account that it was supposed to be. So no, that was attached to the account that I was transferring to. That was a huge red flag to me. I started panicking. I'm like, hold on, this is not right. So I ended up transferring everything instantly, which required a $45 fee. I ended up paying that myself. But that's because I didn't read the fine print. When you have a transferring of a bank and you usually institutions use a source called PLAID, P-L-A-I-D, and what PLAID does is for protective purposes, they change the account number so that somebody don't come in and try to take the funds. So I ended up paying an extra $45 for nothing because I just didn't read that. But anyway, that doesn't matter. The point is, last week I told you guys that we had $2,593.86. Okay. This account currently stands at that number, $2,593.86. Okay. And everybody okay with that? Any questions or comments about that? Okay.
Yeah, we thought about the GoFundMe be weird.
Not at all. But well, you could plan that. We'll let you be the source behind that if that's something that you want to do, and whatever you're able to achieve, we'll let let you do. Yes, ma'am. No. Wait, it has my email. They don't have your name on it? They have my email on there? Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Can you just go on your account right quick and just send like a penny or something and show them what it looked like? So that people can see what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, just trying to confirm.
Just send the information.
Yeah. So they're passing around the phone to see how it looks whenever you're transferring funds, just to make sure you're not transferring any funds into the wrong spot. Very important, right? Because obviously, again, we don't want anybody to lose their money for any reason. So that's going around.
I don't know what it is. I mean, I know what it is, but I've never used it.
Again, that is just one option. Zelle is not the only option. I can easily provide any of you. I can easily provide any of you. I can easily provide any of you with the routing number and account number. Okay. Now, it should go without being said, but I'm gonna say it anyway to make sure everybody knows that it was said. I need everybody to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say, okay? I am giving the account number and the routing number to y'all. People who have shown up consistently, who are here, who obviously understand the goals and the motives, okay? If I did not share this account with somebody in particular, do not share the account with nobody else. Do not share. I do not care if you think you trust them. The only people who should have this account is people who have been here consistently, period. And we need to have, and if somebody wants it, a discussion needs to be had with the group as far as somebody who wants to get access to it, okay? Obviously, all of you can have it. It's no problem. Anybody else? Do not just give up because, again, I don't know if they told you when you went. Obviously, anybody who has the account number can easily just take the funds. I'm telling you that right now. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, the thing is this, okay?
I can't hear what.
You can take everything. Correct. I mean, you have to show your identity, but the thing is this: there's back doors to stuff, and if you have enough information, like the account number, it ain't nothing to forge you an idea or something like that. So, but some people were talking about, so the reason I brought up that is because some people were talking about just having stuff directly taken when they check whenever people get their check. So, right. But again, the only people who have access to that as of right now is me, Sister Nama, Sister Support. Well, Sister Support not yet. She will whenever she. Did you set up your appointment?
Yeah.
Perfect. So she'll have that Monday. Okay, so anybody else? Nobody else has. Okay. That's only if somebody's wanting to do something like that, okay? Just to make it easier. I know some people not good with technology and all that. Yes. That's fine. That's fine. But even then, it's still the same concept. Those people could easily just fill out a form, because obviously your job is going to ask you to fill out that type of stuff. Once they fill out the form, they have the number. So it's not like I could just give the number and then they don't have to worry about it. They're going to. So that's fine. Again, well, exactly. Exactly. That's the point. So that's why I brought that up last week, because again, that means people are trusting in certain individuals to do the correct thing. Okay? People are trusting in individuals to do the correct thing. Obviously, and it's not that you trust in people. You have to realize something, okay? We talk about the fear of God all the time. Now is a perfect time, and every day, every situation is a perfect time to talk about that. But let me just bring it up now, okay? When you are in a position of having a free will to do something right or wrong, the only thing that's going to stop you is authority or your own integrity. Please understand that the Lord will not stop you. He will let you make whatever decision that you want to make, and He will let people respond to that decision that you made however they want to respond to it. So, for example, if I want to do something to somebody and somebody chooses to retaliate against me, whoever is in the wrong, for whatever reason, according to the law, the Lord will let it happen. Please understand. But we have to operate as on the other side of saying you are stopping yourself from doing wrongdoings. So it's not that you're trusting in a person, you're trusting in the fear of God being instilled in that person. And this is why we come to service every week, because we talk about these things all the time. If I have the opportunity to do something wrong and get away with it, okay? If I have the opportunity to do something wrong and get away with it, who is stopping me? No one but the spirit that dwells within me that says this is wrong to the commandments of God. That's it. Everybody has to be operating like that. If you're not operating like that, then something's going to happen. You're going to have to go through a process of whatever. So I didn't already prepare my mind for that, but this is what we've been talking about. And like I talked about last week, adversity or times where the true intentions of a person come out, these are those type of times. Anytime you want to get better or you want to establish greater things, whatever the case may be, this is where the opportunity presents itself for you to show if you are a true servant of God or not. That opportunity will be given to all of you. And it's already been showing. They got a lot of people who've been showing, okay, that everything that they have been saying or claiming that they've been doing is not the case. Now, it's not being said, but the actions are being shown. Okay, it's not being said, but the actions are being shown. So, again, now is the time. It's the opportunity to present something. What's up, man? We got enough seats. is that clear to everyone? Is that clear to everyone? Everybody is supposed to be operating in that fear of God. Everyone. That's for future references. Just tell her to get up. Show them how you doing. There you go. So, as a matter of fact, I wasn't going to I didn't prepare the lesson for today on that, but that's what we're going to talk about today, since that point was brought up. Okay, great point. So seeing as though today we will be talking about the fear of the Lord now, so this is literally an impromptu lesson today. That's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to turn to Job chapter 28, and we are going to start at verse 12. So we're going to Job chapter 28, and we're starting at verse 12. All right, everybody there? All right. It says here in verse 12, but where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? Okay. Where shall wisdom be found? And where is the place of understanding? So this is not just about the small thing that we're talking about making sure that no one is taken from this fund, that we're using it for this group's progression, opportunity, separation from this world. That's just a very small point. The greater point is increasing your level of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in the sight of God, doing the things that are pleasing in Him. And it says, where shall this wisdom be found at? Where is this place of knowledge? Okay? So that's the question, and this is going to go on to answer this question. Man knoweth not the price thereof. Neither is it found in the land of the living. So this is not a tangible thing that you can touch. Okay? This great wisdom, it's not necessarily found in a book. They can only show you how to get it in a book. But this is not something that you can touch and say, here it is. And you can't put a price on it. You can't buy it. You can't just be rich and say, I'm going to go get this wisdom. Verse 14, the depths saith, it is not in me. And the sea saith, it is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with gold, or Ophir, or with the precious onyx, or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air, destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears. God understandeth the way thereof, and He knoweth the place thereof. For He looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weighed the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain and the way for the lightning of the thunder. Then did he see it and declared it. He prepared it, yea, he searched it out. And unto man he said, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. And in this whole concept, what we have just finished talking about was trusting in a person. It's not about trusting in a person. It's about each and every one of you individually saying within yourself, given the opportunity to commit evil, will you do it? Given the opportunity to commit evil, will it be done? But what did it say? The fear of the Lord is to depart from it, to know that you can and choose not to. That's where wisdom comes in. That's where you know that the Lord has actually given you something that cannot be measured or priced. It just went through all these different things, you know, the topaz and the diamonds and the emeralds and all these different precious metals and stuff like that. Nothing can value this stuff. It cannot measure up to that, to know that you can do wrong and know that it's wrong apart from it on your own volition through the spirit that the Lord has given you. That's how you know. The fear of the Lord is not just a saying that we read about in the Bible. It's an action. Or it's a decision not to commit an action. Everybody has to hold true to that. And that's just in the grand scheme of things. And the immediate point that we're talking about now, we're talking about the account and all that type of stuff. That's just a small thing. A person, you can't trust in a person to do that. Each of us individually have to have it within ourselves to say, I'm not going to be the one. It's not going to be me who does X, Y, and Z. Period. Okay. So let's keep going. We're going to our Apocryphas now, in Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. We're going to our Apocryphas now, in Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. And we're going to read the whole chapter. Okay, we're going to read the whole chapter. Ecclesiasticus chapter 2. And we're going to read the entire chapter. All right, everybody there? All right, it starts off here. It says in verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Now imagine that. And if you read chapter 1 talks about wisdom, attaining wisdom. But what did we just read about in Job 28 about wisdom? To depart from evil is understanding, knowledge, wisdom. So when you come to serve the Lord, the temptation is the thing that will cause you to commit evil. To depart from it, to not allow it to tempt you to do it, is the wisdom. That's why it's starting off like this. He's letting you know that it's going to happen. There's nothing you can really do about that. Only thing that is to be done is to depart from it. It says, set your heart aright and consistently endure. So that means it's going to happen multiple times. And you have to be consistent in your acting or not acting upon evil. It says, and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away. got to cleave to the Most High in order to overcome the temptation, because when you depart, you make yourself more susceptible to Satan, more susceptible to do evil. That thou mayest be increased at thy last end. It says, whosoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in a fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So that should let all of us know something, that even in these times where it seems like it's difficult, I'm sure many of us have experienced these type of situations. These are times that build character. That's the whole point. They make you to who you ultimately will become if you keep consistent on that path. Excuse me. It says in verse 6, believe in him and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. Yea, the fear of the Lord, ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside lest ye fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old, and see, did ever any trust in the Lord, and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear, and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering, very pitiful, and forgiving sins, and saveth in time of affliction. But woe be to fearful hearts, and faint hands, and the sinner that goeth two ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not, therefore shall he not be defended. Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will you do when the Lord shall visit you? See all these things, they've been said like simultaneously, right after, one after another. It's very important for us to understand, because especially what we're trying to do, those who are faint-hearted, who don't necessarily believe, it will be shown. Because he said already, the temptation will come. He said, be prepared for it and endure it consistently. Again, this is not just in regards to the stuff that we're trying to do now. I mean, this has been happening since all of you came to really understand the words of the Lord. That has been occurring. And I can tell you right now, I know many people who are failing. It is what it is. The point is, it's not about whether or not another person is failing. It's about whether or not you are failing. Because no one else's walk matters but yours with the Father. It says here in verse 15, they that fear the Lord will not disobey his word. This is my point again. You know, when you're put in a position to do evil, you know that it's wrong. Oftentimes, if you really study, you can go and quote the verse where the Lord said it's wrong, if you really study. But the decision to not or to depart from that action is where true wisdom lies, is where true knowledge lies. That's it. It's not easy, but it's simple. They that fear the Lord will not disobey his word. That means as long as we reading it, as long as we seeing it, that's all that matters. That's all I need to know. I'm doing something, we can go read it, it's not supposed to be done, the change needs to start right there. That's if you really fear the Lord. And they that love him will keep his ways. They're not going to fight it to try to keep their own ways. They that fear the Lord will seek that which is well pleasing unto him. Notice it says they will seek it. They're going to go look for it. Go find it. Go study it. Go put time and energy and effort into it.
What's the scripture say?
What scripture?
It says it's one thing to understand something. For kings is to consider something.
I'm talking about Proverbs 25. Yeah, it says it's the honor, it's the glory of kings to do something, but it's the, you just read it. We don't have to misquote it. You just read it. Yeah, it's Proverbs 25:2.
But the glory of God to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out.
That's the verse you're looking for?
Yeah.
We brought that up to precept with this verse that we talked about seeking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We know due diligence.
Yeah, you can't just sit around and think that the Lord just going to give you wisdom. You do nothing all day, or do whatever you want to do all day, and just the Lord just going to pour out wisdom. It's not going to happen. You have all the necessary tools right here. Most of us have access to some type of phone or computer or laptop where we can research things. We have all the information, all data, and even more information and more data that's coming out as more people continue to do research for you to seek the wisdom of God. But it takes time. It takes effort. It takes diligence. But again, what did the scripture just say? It says, they who fear the Lord will seek him. They want to make sure that they're doing the things that are pleasing in his sight. It says, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They shall be filled with the law. What did Christ say to the devil when he came to tempt him when he was fasting for 40 days? He said, man shall not live by what? Everybody should know this. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. And what was he referring to? He was referring to the commandments that we just read in Deuteronomy 33. That he said was an inheritance for Jacob. They will be filled with the law. That's what your daily bread, that's what you consume. Why? Because those are the things that are pleasing in his sight. And to go against those things is evil. So to depart from them is wisdom. Verse 17. They that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight. Notice it says prepare their hearts. To prepare for something means that you're going through the process of some type of change or implementation. Why would you have to prepare your heart unless your heart is not right? Unless your heart is fixated after how the world conditioned your heart to be. After how society, after how this earth. Remember in Job 9:24 it says the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. So that means our heart has been conditioned like theirs. So we have to prepare our hearts to serve the Lord. We have to change that. We have to renew our minds. We have to get relearned, retaught, be born again.
True conversion of the soul.
True conversion of the soul.
Psalms 19:7.
So the point is, and that's Psalm chapter 19, verse 7 through 11. Those of you who want to take that down. It's not just verse 7, it's verse 7 through 11. Very important. You have to prepare your heart. So that means what? There's going to be things that you don't like. We all know this. We know this. There are things that are pleasing to God that you don't want to do. Or there are things that are displeasing to God that you like doing. You have to fix that. You have to change that. You have to prepare your heart to stop taking enjoyment out of stuff like that. Or you have to fix your heart to start enjoying the stuff that the Lord has told you should be done. It's really that simple. Again, it may not be easy for folks. But it's not supposed to be easy because you have an adversary known as Satan who is accusing you every day to make sure that you don't do exactly what these scriptures are telling us to do. And in the latter part of that verse in 17, it said, humble their souls. Meaning, you think you're up here, you got to come down. Really and truly, if you want to be honest with you, ain't no man or woman of Israel in this society even should be thinking that they're up here. If we want to be completely honest. Even if you think you got something, you got a car, a house, or whatever. To think that you up here is totally prideful. Remember, the Lord is with the lowly. He is with those who are humble. We have to cleave unto him. That verse before, I don't remember which verse it was. It was in this chapter where it said you had to cleave to him. You have to want to be close. The Lord is with those who are lowly. That's one of the ways you cleave to him. You got to say within yourself. We know when we talk, there's certain things that we say that are prideful. And you have to catch that and come down from that. And the last verse, in verse 18, says, saying, this is what the humble, the lowly, those who prepare their hearts, this is what they say. We will fall into the hands of the Lord and not into the hands of men. For as his majesty is, so is his mercy. Now, really and truly, we can stop there, but I'm going to go read one more verse because sometimes we don't have to keep on going to a whole bunch of different verses to make one point. The point is very clear, and that's the point that we're going to meditate on, not just today, throughout, whatever we finish doing through this service, but that's the point that we need to be meditating on every single day. The fear of the Most High. How do I do that? How do I go through that process? How do I perfect that process? That's all we need to know. But I'm just going to go to one more verse. And that is Deuteronomy chapter 10. And we're going to read verse 12 and 13, and that's it. Again, there's many verses that talk about fearing the Lord. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12 and 13. There are many verses in these scriptures that talk about fearing the Lord. If you truly fear the Lord, if you truly fear the Lord, go find them. Go read them. They will all give you different aspects about fearing the Lord. Go seek them. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12 and 13. Again, this is what the Lord told us to do. This is what he told our fathers to do. It says, and now Israel, he's talking to the people. Jeshurun, this is where we got our name from. Peculiar treasures of Jeshurun. That name should be significant to you. Because you know what Jeshurun symbolized? Remember how we talked about last week, not all the Israelites act like our father Abraham? You know what Jeshurun symbolizes? Jeshurun symbolizes those Israelites who do what they're supposed to do. When you look up that name in the scriptures, that name goes back to the righteous. Anytime you hear Jesh, that's talking about the righteous. The ones who do what they're supposed to do. So Jeshurun is talking about the children of Israel in their righteous state. That's what we seek. It says, and now Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God? The first thing that he required us to do is to fear him. Because this is how you attain wisdom, knowledge, understanding. It says to walk in all of his ways. Meaning we should study the Lord. See how he responds to stuff. Not just the wrath and the anger and the fiery jealousy, but the compassion, the love, the long suffering, the pitifulness, the mercy. We should study him and how he judges things. And then we should try our best to implement that based upon how we see him conduct himself. Remember, Christ says what? He can do nothing but what he sees the Father do. We being sons of God, daughters of God, we cannot do nothing unless we see what our Father does. But if we don't read, we don't study, we don't know how he conducts himself, then we're not going to walk in his ways. We're going to walk in the ways of the heathen. It says to walk in all his ways and to love him and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul. To keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. This is for our good. Please understand, the Lord does not take pleasure in destroying a man for his wickedness. So you doing this is for you, so that you can be doing things that are pleasing in the sight of God, and he rewards you for that with everlasting life. This is for your good. And you only can do it for your good. You can't make nobody else do anything. Okay, I can't make none of y'all do nothing. I can only give you these scriptures. It's your job to go seek. That's why we're not going over nothing else. I got a whole bunch of verses we could go to about fearing the Lord. They all talk about different things, and you can perfect and start meditating and contemplating on how you can fear the Lord more in your life. How you can start seeking the Lord more in your life. How you can start studying more in your life. That's not my problem. That's your problem. You have to fix that. We just read, they that fear the Lord will seek him. If you're not seeking, we know what it means. And it will show, I'm telling you. So, again, that's in the grand scheme of things. And this little endeavor that we're going on, trying to get land, trying to build, trying to separate ourselves from society, things will happen. I can promise you that. But it's supposed to happen. We have to weed out the faint-hearted, those who can't endure. Christ says what? They that endure to the end, the same shall be what? Saved. Some people can't endure all that. So if you can't acknowledge it, fix it. Prepare your heart so that you can. But again, that's all. I'm not. We don't have to read nothing else. Honestly, this right here is enough to meditate on. So again, I just want to point out again. I know we talked about the account number and everything like that. as far as who need to get it, whatever, how they ever want to do their funds and how they want to contribute. If somebody wants to contribute like that, it's fine. But we cannot be worrying about things happening like that. If it happens, we'll find out. It'll be known. It'll be a challenge, but we'll have to get over it. I promise you again, there will be challenges. There will be challenges. Hell, it was a challenge trying to get us all to even do this. We've been talking about this for how long? That was a challenge in and of itself. Just to even get the process started. So, does anybody have any? I know you wanted to bring out something. You wanted to bring that verse out in Psalms 19 and speak on that. That's Psalm chapter 19. We're going to start at verse 7. Hold on one second. Alright, you should be good.
The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoice in the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlighten the eye. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey in the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is your servant warned, and in keeping with them there is a great reward.
All right, break that down for us.
Yeah, it's correlation to what you had brought out, even specifically verse 10. It can correlate it in such a way where, when you become at a lower state and you get tried, you must remain patient. Torah and the law itself should be priority number one. So when distractions do come, because we understand that they're inevitable, you're able to get through those things by knowing that faith and also works, it is actually the fire, not only the tribulations we carry, but understanding that this truth alone is a sacrifice. A lot of things happen, a lot of things change, during these times of our journey. So nothing is perfect but the Most High, the Son. So really just to stay aligned in Torah, make sure you have Torah at the forefront, regardless of anything, because we'll go through trials and tribulations, but as long as Torah is there, and we're actually practicing what we preach, failure is there, obviously we'll fall, but we'll be able to get back up.
Absolutely. Anybody else have anything that they wanted to say? Bring up? I was asking if anybody had any other comments or concerns about that.
I was thinking about Paul even referred back to this verse when he was telling the scattered, when he was talking to the scattered, he was saying how to be converted, that they have to obey the laws. So we know how to, when we refer back to this scripture where it says that the law is perfect, bringing back the soul, being converted, and that's how we are converted, is through the Torah. And Paul referred back to that.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's about something like a lot of taking investment time.
Go ahead.
So 22, right?
Yes.
We're talking about
Commandments for the priests.
yeah. And I stumbled across verse 12, right?
Mhm.
In particular, it says that the priest's daughter also only read this. If the priest's daughter also be married to a stranger, she may not eat an offering of the holy things. But if the priest's daughter be a widow and divorced and have no child and is returned to her father's house, as in her youth, she shall eat of her father's meat, but there shall no stranger eat thereof. Right? Oh, I'm sorry, I was in Leviticus 22.
And what verse?
I started reading verse 12.
Okay.
Like, at first I was just thinking like strangers talking about like another Israelite that's not the tribe of Levi. But then I kept reading. I know like I don't know about anybody else scripture. In verse 14, how it starts like the transitions to a whole other thing. But when I continue reading, it says, if a man be of the holy thing unwittingly, which means unknowingly, and he shall put the fifth part thereof into it, he shall give it unto the priest with the holy things, and they shall not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, which they offer unto the Lord, right? So I was recalling back to that time that I forgot who was the priest that basically fed David when he was hungry, the holy bread. But then I stopped at verse 15 saying, they shall not profane the things of the children of Israel, which they offer to the Lord. So does that mean that this stranger that they talk about back in verse 12 is like a straight up person from another nation? Because I'm thinking, if the priest didn't get in trouble for feeding David the holy bread, and verse 15 is saying that they should not profane the holy things of the children of Israel, doesn't that mean that stranger in verse 12 is talking about a stranger?
Well, yes, but I don't know why you're bringing up David in this context.
Like, because I was thinking, like, David is from the tribe of Judah, right?
Correct.
And I'm thinking, when I first read it, I'm coming to the mindset, maybe a stranger is talking about a person, like an Israelite from another tribe.
Right.
So it's talking about
An actual stranger. Correct.
So this stranger would have to be a person that's that's trying to keep the commandments.
It don't matter if this stranger is keeping the commandments or not. The point is, if a priest's daughter is married to a stranger, she cannot no longer eat the meat or the holy things that the priests were given to the children of Israel.
Yeah, no, that's not the point I'm trying to make. Like, the reason I brought that is because it's a sin to marry a person from another nation for some reason that they're turning our hearts away from our Father to their idols, right?
Correct.
So does it mean that this stranger is actually like a stranger that's dwelling with us, trying to do the right thing?
No. Because it doesn't necessarily say that.
I mean, it don't, but
Let's just say that they are. Let's just say that they are, right? Let's say that they are. It still says that a stranger, if a priest's daughter is married to a stranger, she cannot eat. It don't matter if he's.
I'm not talking about eat the woman eating the bread. That's not what I'm trying to bring out. I'm trying to say, like, the stipulations to marrying and eating. That's what I'm trying to get at.
There is no stipulation, but that don't mean it's not going to happen. So you have laws that talk about things that happen even though it shouldn't, and that's why that's being brought out. So we already know in Deuteronomy 7 what it says, right? Because that's the conflict, okay? Because it's not that what you're saying is already not supposed to happen, Okay, there's plenty of things that's not supposed to happen. But how many times does the law give us the provision for things that are not supposed to happen if they do happen? We have laws about that all the time. Like if you take a woman and she's a virgin and you take her without marrying her, that's not supposed to happen. But then they give you laws about what happens after that happens. There's plenty of laws that talk about that. That's all throughout the commandments. So just because you might see a conflict, because that is a conflict, doesn't mean that it's now somehow justifiable now. It's just giving you a response to an action. And that's the action. That's why we know it's not supposed to happen, because you see that there's a judgment that the priest's daughter cannot eat any of the meat that her father is supposed to give her portion. Because every priest is supposed to give a portion to all of his children, male or female. Now, if you are a priest's daughter and you have a portion, I'm sorry, I want to make sure he's answering. I know you got you. If you have a portion and then you have your portion taken away from you, does that sound like a good thing? Right, that's the point. So it's a judgment in that sense. Does that make sense?
Was that like a diary or something?
No, that's not talking about that. He's talking. So, and then the point that you made about David was a deeper point. David ate the shewbread, but David could eat the shewbread. There's a reason for that. I'll talk about that later. I want to make sure we get. But does that answer your question, though? Yeah, no. If you have follow-up, just ask your follow-up.
The reason why is because when I read this, it brought me back to like, I was watching a video on married at the nations. Like, and I was like scrolling through YouTube comments. Like, and one of the main people we're not even supposed to, marry is Edomites. And I'm scrolling through the comments. It's basically it's a white woman basically trying to justify marrying a brother. Like she's saying that she grabbed it in trying to follow Torah. And it just kind of tripped me out because it's like we have the scriptures say we're not even supposed to do this.
Okay.
I'm gonna probably just assume that the brother probably married this woman before he even came into the truth. But it just kind of tripped me out seeing like a heathen trying to justify being married to a brother. And so you grafted in trying to follow the ways of the father, even though Torah says y'all niggas supposed to be married anyway.
Well, look, you paying attention to comments. That's irrelevant. It don't matter what a man or a woman say. The word of God stands.
I said it brought me back to this.
Yeah.
I mean, it just brought me back to that.
He's an Israelite? The gentleman she married to?
Yeah.
So she follows Torah? Yeah.
Well, sister, you had your hand up. See, the bread, remember the bread is the gospel. Okay. Right. So the gospel was prophesied to occur. You read about that in Isaiah 40, Malachi 4. And it was to poor, the needy, the ones who are suffering in Zion. That was his point in that verse. And that's Matthew 15 and 24. Okay. What you were talking about. I can't hear you.
You have to speak up because I got the fan over here.
I'm sitting right next to it. I I'm just trying to see if I can catch what she's saying.
She said that it also could have a spiritual meaning of where Christ says it's not meat to give the children's bread and cast it to dogs because the spiritual meaning would be you're talking about the bread not being actual bread, being the commandments, being the law, right? And so, right, and her faith that follows along with that, right? So again, the children of Israel are supposed to have that, but they're supposed to have that to lead everybody else. It's not supposed to be the other way around, where somebody else is coming in and leading the children of Israel down that path because that's not the order that God has ordained from the beginning. So what, he gave his judgments to the children of Israel first, and they were supposed to carry them out and lead the world in that. That's how he set it up, and that's going to happen. But who didn't do their job? Who didn't fulfill their end of the covenant? We didn't. Our ancestors didn't. And many of us continue to not hold up our end of the bargain. Okay. But nevertheless, that's the will of God, and that's going to happen.
When I read that and just listened to him, when I read that, I thought that he was speaking more of the daughter being a stranger because she walked away from the law and married another stranger, which made her bind herself to the world instead of to love. And when that stranger passed away, it put me in the mind of the prodigal son. When he left, but he returned. So when he returned, then he was given back the rights, returning from that which was not of God. And that's what I read in myself. When he was talking about marrying a stranger, even though he acknowledged that she married a stranger, she became a stranger too, and she married into that world.
Right, so what you just made just now was a connection, right? So that's a connection. When you read these laws, remember, in Deuteronomy 27, Moses said that he wrote these laws very plainly so that it's not in parabolic form where you have to look at it metaphorically and compare it to something else. He wanted to make sure that this was as easy as possible for the uneducated to come and look at these laws and understand them. So from that perspective, we have to look at any commandments in the most simplest form. But again, the connection is there, right? You're saying how you being married to a stranger, the whole point of not doing that is because they'll turn you away to other gods. You end up going down that path of committing sin. Then something happens and then you return, right? Perfect connection. But as far as what this means, word for word verbatim, this is actually talking about an actual daughter of Aaron who was married to a heathen. It don't matter if the heathen is, serving God or not. The point is, they cannot eat any holy thing. Even the Israelite cannot eat a holy thing. Only the Levites can eat the holy things in this context. Well, that's what she would have been, yes.
She just lost her portion.
Pretty much.
It goes back to when we started off with about the fear of the law. Obeying his commandments. Put it precise. Look, marry him, can't eat this. That's what she gotta do. If she fear the law, not the evil way.
Simple as that.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that we even got that far because the father's supposed to give the year and nay to even let that thing happen, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't even be married for real.
Yeah, but the thing is the whole point is supposed to be the light of the world, essentially, anyway. So, although we were leaders, there were still people like last year that were strangers of that land that wanted and committed to following the Lord, whether they were Israelites or not. So it's bigger than us. It's bigger than just us being Israel. It's about the Most High. We're giving Him the glory and keep it forward. So just like the woman spoke about in the comments that was trying to justify marrying a man who deemed himself as an Israelite. For me, it's like, okay, where the sin at? If she says she following the Torah, I don't know what's going on in the household. If she is, how can I pin her wrong?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. If there's
A slippery slope almost.
it's kind of hard to like put it because you know that law where
The holy thing that they talking about. She can't eat up the offering of the holy thing. It's gonna be-
technically American legally married or legally
The holy thing is the part of the offering that's given to the priest. That's the heave, shoulder, and the wave breast.
All that type of like.
So the priest, whenever they would sacrifice an animal, they get the breast. I think it's the left shoulder.
And they can share with their family.
Correct. Because I mean, they're gonna give multiple offerings a day.
So she can eat that. And when I said dowry, is that this lady I tell you from India? They do like they pay dowry to the men. So she married outside of her caste. It was like $150,000 that was gonna go to the husband that the daddy chose. But because she married outside the caste, she lost $150,000. She couldn't get it.
Correct.
He couldn't get it. So it went to her brother. So that's why I was going
Yeah, 'cause
it's
that,
related to how they were tying their, you see what I'm saying?
exactly. Because
Their
they,
religious culture into it. So when we did that, I went, and she told me it was $150,000, and she couldn't get it. And then now it's saying, if she, I guess, if she wouldn't have had children with him, and then came back and married who her dad wanted, then she would have been able to get the dowry. That man would have been able to get the dowry.
I don't know if this is so. By this time, by the time you're married and you didn't have children, or by the time you're married and you didn't got divorced, the likelihood that you're gonna get married again is slim. Okay.
So you should just get.
I'm just gonna be quite honest with you. Okay.
They probably wouldn't
That's
get it.
why she would just return to her father's house, and wherever the money
And
goes,
then
just
she
would
could
just
be
go
at
to
her
someone
dad's
else.
house.
That's the point.
Marry somebody just to learn.
What sound back?
She can learn another day.
These are Hindu people.
No, yeah, she's talking about
These are
somebody.
Hindu people from India. Yeah.
Where they
They're Hindus.
without
They
the process of
Yeah, they pay. They pay the man.
Just because
They pay the man.
Hold on one second. Let's everybody. Let's kind of rein it back in because we all talking at once. You saying that it's kind of backwards for a dowry to be given to a man. Okay. Okay. Who the dowry is given to? No, the dowry is not given to the man. The dowry is given to the father. Correct. Now, upon him receiving it, there is no command that says what's to be done with it. So what is done with it is solely up to him. So if he decides to then say, I'm going to take this dowry and I'm going to give it to my son, or I'm going to give it to the husband of my wife so that they can do whatever with it, it's totally optional. Okay. Anything that the law does not specifically state, where there is no law, there is no sin, and it's optional, it's tolerable by the Lord for whatever a man deems is to be done with it. Okay. Now, when you involve politics in that, stuff is done that probably shouldn't be done. Okay. Just gonna be quite honest with you, but it is what it is. As far as what you're saying, the question that you're asking is, excuse me. The question that you're asking is it lawful to marry a person if they are quote unquote You're talking about another nation, man. Is it lawful to marry them if they are following Torah? That's the question that you would be asking for.
Yeah, basically. Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying I want to do that, but that's just the
Listen, you don't have to want to do something to ask a question. That's perfectly fine. Here's the thing. The example that we have in Ezra and Nehemiah, where they decided that they were going to not tolerate that anymore. What did those men have to do at that time?
Besides, to leave their family and that.
Okay, so let's go read it real quick. Let's go to Ezra chapter, I think that's chapter 10. No, I'm gonna start at chapter 9, excuse me. Not chapter 10, chapter 9. Just get the context. Because everything is gonna go back to this. This whole subject is gonna go back to this. It says in chapter 9, verse 1, in the book of Ezra, it says, "Now when these things were done, the princes came to me, saying, the people of Israel, the priests and the Levites, have not separated themselves from the people of the lands, doing according to their abominations." Right? It says, "Even the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Jebusites, and the Ammonites, and the Moabites, and the Egyptians, and Amorites. For they have taken their daughters for themselves, and for their sons, so that the holy seed hath mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Yea, the hand of the princes and the rulers have been chief in this trespass. And when I heard this thing, I rent my garment, my mantle, and plucked off the hair of my head and on my beard, and sat down astonished." So, in this situation, we have the children of Israel returning from Babylon to our land. Okay? We have to understand something. You have to really put yourself in this. Okay? Set the scene. We had just been taken into captivity. We had never been taken into captivity prior to Assyria and Babylon. Even if we had other nations come and conquer us or terrorize us or whatever, we always had possession of the land up until that point. At that point, that's when they were taken out of the land and brought to somewhere else. And then the Persians allowed the children of Israel to move back into their land, to which they had been separated from. Now, why were we removed from our land in the first place? For serving other gods and committing all other abominations, right? Exactly. For serving other gods. So the very reason that got us kicked out was for serving other gods. And one of the main things that the Lord told us not to do to prevent us from serving other gods was marrying strangers. Okay? Because strangers serve other gods, and when you marry them, they can pull you to their deities. So now that they're coming back, their mindset and their tolerance for wrongdoing is down here. You understand? Why? Because they know that they've been given the opportunity to return. And they should consider themselves lucky that the Lord allowed them to return to his land. You see? So this is why they were so strict and stern at this point versus what was happening prior to them getting brought into Babylon. See, before they got brought into Babylon, this was happening. You even see it in Leviticus 24. There's a sister that's married to an Egyptian. It happened consistently, very often. You can read about it again in Judges. You can read about it again in Joshua. You can read about it again in 1 Kings with Solomon. It happened plenty of times. And that was one of the downfalls of the children of Israel, because we served other gods in the process. So when they're trying to reinstitute the government, reinstitute the commandments, reinstitute our way of living, they have to be more strict so that they can make sure that this doesn't happen, again. And this is why they tell those men who were married to women that they had to leave them. Now, this is the question, okay? This is the question. Why didn't you just convert them? Why do they have to send them away, leave them, tell them to go, etc., etc.? Why? Why can they not just say, you can either convert, and if you don't convert, then you can leave? They don't even give them that option. That is the question that one has to ask. I'm not going to answer that question. It is, again, your job. You know, I'm not going to be just giving answers out, okay? Go seek it. And ask yourself these questions. Why don't they just convert? That's an easy solution. You married to a strange woman. Okay, well, we can't serve other gods. And we cannot take this opportunity that the Lord has given us to return back to the land. That this is his land. This is not our land. This is his land. We cannot return back to his land under his protection and guidance and inspiration. We cannot return there and trying to give leeway for our wickedness to continue. So in response to that, let's just convert them. They don't say that. They just say, no, we're not tolerating it. Period. There's obviously a reason. But that's the question. That is the $1 million question. Because whenever people bring this passage up, that is something that is not brought out. People just bring this passage up to say, okay, you can't marry heathens. It's not about marrying heathens. It's about the fact that if it's happening, why can't you just convert them? I'm sure there'll be plenty of individuals that happen, because there's plenty of men who was married to strange women. I'm very positive that there were women who those men were married to who were willing to convert. I'm more than positive, because one thing about women is women value security and stability. If you tell me that I have to leave my wife, if she don't convert, she will convert. I can promise you that. Look at American women today. Look at how American women act today. Why do you think they can act the way that they act today? Because the American men who lead the society have allowed it. If they lived in Saudi Arabia, they would have to conform to their way of life. If you send an American woman to Iran, if she does not have a hijab on every single day that she steps outside the house, she's going to jail. You know what she's going to have a hijab on? Well, she's going to wear her hijab faithfully, because she does not want to get persecuted. So that's the question. Those men could have easily said, if we catch you serving other gods, you will be excommunicated. So we'll let you live, we'll let you stay here with your foreign wives, but if we catch you serving other gods, we will kick you out. They could have said that. They didn't say that. They said, we're not tolerating it. So that's the question you have to ask yourself.
So, would it be possible that when Scotland owned the book of the law, that when they read it at first, they took it a certain way, and didn't have a 100% understanding about what it was? Is that possible? I'm not saying, the prophets, I'm just saying, being that it was so new, that they just laid their eyes upon it. Is it possible at all that they did not understand what that particular law was saying 100%?
No. Go to Ezra chapter 7. Let's show you why that's definitely not the case. This is Ezra chapter 7, because this was the leader during that time, which is Ezra himself. And this is what it says about him. It says in the book of Ezra, chapter 1, chapter 7, verse 1. Okay, chapter 7, verse 1. It says, now after these things, in the reign of Artaxerxes, king of Persia, Ezra, the son of Sariah, okay, he goes through his lineage. I'm going to read verse 5, jump into verse 5. It says, the son of Abishua, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the chief priest. So what is that establishing? This is establishing that Ezra himself is a priest. What is the priest's job? The priest's job is to teach the commandments. But obviously they can't teach the commandments unless they are. All right, so in verse 6 it says, this Ezra went up from Babylon, and he was a ready scribe in the law of Moses, which the Lord God of Israel had given. And the king granted him all his requests according to the hand of the Lord his God upon him. So it says Ezra was a ready scribe, meaning he was well learned in the Torah. It says in verse 7, and there went up some of the children of Israel, and the priests, and the Levites, and the singers, and the porters, and the Nethinims unto Jerusalem in the 7th year of Artaxerxes king. Okay, it says, I want to stop there. I want to stop somewhere. No, that's okay. Verse 9 says, for upon the first day of the first month began he to go up from Babylon. On the first day of the 5th month came he to Jerusalem, according to the good hand of his God upon him. For Ezra had prepared his heart to seek the law of the Lord, and to do it, and to teach Israel statutes and judgments. So, yeah, that's where I want to stop at, right there. So, again, there, as far as them not realizing or interpreting something wrong, let's just say that they did interpret something that wasn't supposed to be quote unquote interpreted the way that, and that I'm not saying that he did that, but let's just say he did. He is now in a position of a judge. The Torah gives judges the leeway to make decisions for the people, and the people are supposed to follow them.
Like buying and selling maybe.
Correct. Which is not in the Torah.
Right.
Buying and selling on the Sabbath day is not in the law.
Right.
But Ezra and Nehemiah implemented that as a judgment to keep the people from working on the Sabbath, as a way to stop them. Points like that is what I'm saying about him in regards to if he didn't understand something all the way, or if he misinterpreted something, supposedly, it wouldn't even matter, because he has the right to institute a judgment for the people, and the people are supposed to follow it. Now, I don't think that he misinterpreted the commandments, because there's verses that point to why he's saying what he's saying, not just in the Torah, but also in other places.
But it was kind of geared towards if you are still a judge and expert in Torah, then why now are you requiring that they do this?
Okay, that's where you jump back to chapter 9, and we'll see.
You already went over this?
What do you mean we are going to, like you're talking about today?
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
no. Okay, so where was that? Shoot. Give me a second, let me find it. Huh? No, we didn't discuss this yet. He talking about chapter 10. It's not in. I know it's not in 10. It's in chapter 9. I'm just looking for it. Yeah, it's in chapter 9. So let's read this right quick. It's here in verse 4. Okay. So here in verse 4, it goes on to state, Then were assembled unto me every one that trembled at the words of the God of Israel, because of the transgression of those that had been carried away. And I sat astonished until the evening sacrifice. Even at the evening sacrifice I arose up from my heaviness, and having rent my garment and my mantle, and fell upon my knees, and spread out my hands unto the Lord my God, and said, O my God, I am ashamed, and blush to lift up my face to thee, my God, for our iniquities are increased over our head, and our trespass is grown up unto heaven. Since the days of our fathers have we been in a great trespass unto this day, and for our iniquities have we, our kings and our priests, been delivered into the hand of the kings of the lands, to the sword, to captivity, to a spoil, and to a confusion of face, as it is this day. So that, again, he's hearkening back to the point that they shouldn't even be allowed back into the land right now, but because of the Lord's tender mercies, he has given them the land back, and some of them have returned. But Ezra right here is knowing that this has nothing to do with the children of Israel at this point. This has everything to do with the mercy of the Lord, allowing them to come back. And even in them being allowed to come back, people are still trying to give leeway to stuff. So he says our iniquities is already past us, right? But let's see what he's talking about in particular. It's not just this, it's multiple things, but this is what we're talking about in particular. It says, and now for a little space, grace hath been showed from the Lord our God to leave us a remnant to escape, and to give us a nail in his holy place, that our God may lighten our eyes and give us a little reviving in our bondage. For we were bondmen, yet our God hath not forsaken us in our bondage, but hath extended the mercy unto us in the sight of the kings of Persia, to give us a reviving, to set up the house of our God, and to repair the desolations thereof, and to give us a wall in Judea and in Jerusalem. And now, O our God, what shall we say after this? For we have forsaken thy commandments, which thou hast commanded by the servant the prophets, saying, the land which you go in to possess it is an unclean land, with the filthiness of the peoples of the land, with their abominations, which have filled it from one end to another with their uncleanness. Now therefore, give not your daughters unto their sons, neither take their daughters unto your sons, nor seek their peace or their wealth forever, that you may be strong and eat the good of the land, and leave it for an inheritance to your children forever. And after all that is come upon us for our evil deeds, and for our great trespass, seeing that our God hath punished us less than our iniquities deserve, and hath given us such deliverance at this time, should we again break the commandments and join in affinity with the people of these abominations? Wouldst not thou be angry with us till thou hast consumed us, so that there should be no remnant nor escape? Okay, so it says, O Lord God of Israel, thou art righteous, for we remain yet escape. As it is this day, behold, we are before thee in our trespasses, for we cannot stand before thee because of this. So again, the point that he just made is a citation from Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1 through 4. Matter of fact, let's go read it again. Let's go read it again. All right, let's go read it again. So this is what a skilled scribe would know. A skilled scribe doesn't just know the law. He can point to it, go to it, explain it, interpret it, make judgments on it. Nope, chapter 7. Chapter 7, Deuteronomy chapter 7. And I'm only going here to quote his point, okay, when he talked about joining infinity with the people of the land, etc., etc. Okay. Now, here we go in chapter 1, or chapter 7. I keep on saying chapter 1, verse 1 in chapter 7. It says, when the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Havites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations, greater and mightier than thou. Let's stop right there. How many nations did the Lord name just now?
7.
He named 7. Is this the only 7 that he's talking about? Is everybody else excluded from these 7?
Oh yeah, you can mention that. But it's like listed around.
Hold on. We're not talking about nothing else but verse 1. In this verse, if there's a person who is not an Israelite, but is not one of these 7 nations, are they excluded from this law? Okay, how do we know that? Because a person, I'm going to just tell you what people are going to say. I'm going to just tell you straight up. Brother, she ain't a Girgashite. She's not an Amorite. She's not a Jebusite. We can go down the list. So how do you know that?
Because there are other scriptures that the Most High uphold.
Can't do other scriptures. Those other scriptures are not in the law.
Because the idols they worship.
Idols they worship is fine too. But many people served idols. These people served idols. There's other people that. So why aren't those other nations listed here? That's the question.
Because we were talking about the ones that were stronger than us.
Talking about the ones who are stronger, but there's plenty of other nations who are stronger than us at this point too.
Because you say not to go after the nations that are driving, the nations that are driving, I'm sorry, to not to go after and do like the other nations, which are, drive you away.
Yeah, he said it right here.
So,
What'd you say?
that was back in the Torah, you said.
We reading it right now. This is the Torah. There you go. There you go. That's all we got. That we could leave it right there. That's it. That's it. He said many nations, and then he named 7. But he said many nations, and then he named 7. Let's say it one more time. He said many nations, and then he said 7. That's what you said? You didn't want to say it? Oh, I ain't hear you. There you go. That's all. Listen, it's very clear, okay? When you try to overthink stuff, that's where the problem come in at. Oh, brother, it only lists 7. Right after it says many nations. So now when you bring up 1 Kings, where it says Zidonians, do you see Zidonians here? But Solomon married Zidonians. It said Egyptians. Do you see Egyptians here? But yet he married Egyptians. It don't say Ammonites. Don't say Moabites. Don't say Philistines. But when you read other verses, you'll see these nations, like you talked about. You can read other verses. 1 Kings 11. That's, again, we just read it. We read that earlier. In Ezra chapter 9, verse 1, it says Zidonians, Egyptians, Ammonites, and Moabites. Those 4 nations you do not see here. They're not listed in Deuteronomy 7. But they don't have to be listed in Deuteronomy 7. When the Lord has cast out many nations, the nations, Syrians, Edomite, don't matter who it is. This is why 1 Kings 11 and Ezra chapter 9 brings up these other people. Because just because they're not listed doesn't mean that they're not included. They're included in many nations. Period. That's why Ezra brings it up. That's why the scribe of 1 Kings chapter 11 during Solomon's time, that must have, maybe it was Nathan, whoever it was, don't matter. That's why they bring it up. But I'm telling you, brothers will tell you, brother, don't say Edomites on there. Okay. They don't have to say Edomites on there. Brother, don't say Syrians on there. Okay. They don't have to say Syrians on there. The Lord don't have to list every single nation on the face of the earth. And the only reason why he mentions these 7 is because these are the ones who we're literally about to encounter. When you look at our pathway in the wilderness, these 7 are the ones who we were literally going to be going to war with. We didn't go to war with the Moabites, right? Because the Moabites are the sons of who?
And,
Who are the Moabites and the Ammonites the sons of?
Moab and,
Lot. Was Lot blessed?
yeah.
And so what did God do for Lot? He gave his children an inheritance. So we didn't have to go to war with the Ammonites and the Moabites. Okay? We would have to go to war with all these 7. What about the Edomites? Who was Edom's father? Who was his father? Who was Esau's father? Y'all need to read your Bible. Okay? Y'all need to read. You guys need to read your Bibles. You guys need to read your Bibles. Who is Esau's father? Isaac is Esau's father. Isaac is Esau's father. Okay. Was Isaac blessed? Yes. And his children received an inheritance. So Esau receives an inheritance too. Again, read your Bibles. Let's go to Deuteronomy 2 right quick. Okay, since we need to study this Torah more. Okay. You need to study so you can know this. Deuteronomy 7 lists nations that we're about to go to war with. But in 1 Kings 11, Ezra chapter 9, they mention other nations. Why doesn't Deuteronomy 7 mention those nations? Because we already read, if you read Deuteronomy chapter 7, that means you would have read Deuteronomy chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? So you should have context. The context of Deuteronomy 7 about the nations who we're going to go to war with. This is part of it here in Deuteronomy chapter 2. Look what God says here in verse 1. Then we turned. This is Moses giving an account on how we went in the wilderness. It says, then we turned. Hold on, everybody there in Deuteronomy 2? Chapter 2, verse 1. Look at what Moses states. Okay? This is what Moses states. Then we turned and took our journey into the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea, as the Lord commanded unto me, and we compassed Mount Seir many days. Who lives in Mount Seir? The Edomites. And the Lord spake unto me, saying, you have compassed this mountain long enough, turn you northward, and command thou the people, saying, you are to pass through the coast of your brethren, the children of Esau, which dwell in Seir, and they shall be afraid of you. Take ye good heed unto yourselves, therefore. Meddle not with them. What does meddle not with them mean? Don't fight with them. Don't contend with them. You're not going to war against them. Look what he says. For I will not give you of their land. Whose land did he say he was going to give us, though? The Amorites, the Girgashites, the Jebusites, all those seven nations that were listed in Deuteronomy 7. But he says that we're not going to get the Edomites' land, no, not so much as 1 foot breadth, because I have given Mount Seir unto Esau for a possession. You see that? So we weren't supposed to take their land. But were they not included in Deuteronomy 7 when it said many nations? No. That's the point. If you go down even further, he talks about the Ammonites and the Moabites. In verse 8, it says in verse 8, and when we passed by from our brethren, the children of Esau, which dwelt in Seir, through the way of the plains of Elah, and from Ezion-Gaber, we turned and passed by the way of the wilderness of Moab. And the Lord said unto me, distress not the Moabites, neither contend with them in battle, for I will not give thee of their land for a possession, because I have given Ar unto the children of Lot for a possession. See that? It's the same way with the Moabites. Jump down to verse 19. One more nation. Verse 19, it says, and when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them, for I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for a possession. So Deuteronomy 7, if you're actually studying this, is given to you in the context of Deuteronomy chapter 2. We were about to go to war to take land from people, the Canaanites. But before we got there, we passed up the Ammonites, we passed up the Moabites, and we passed up the the Edomites. The Lord told us not to contend with any of them. That's not the land that he's going to give us. So, this is why when you read in Ezra chapter 9 or in 1 Kings chapter 11, where they specifically cite Deuteronomy chapter 7, they mention other nations beside those 7 nations. Brothers, I promise you, brothers will try to tell you that it's only those 7 nations who are prohibited. I promise you they will. I didn't have these conversations. That is not the point. The point is in Deuteronomy 7, he's speaking in context of us going into that land and taking it from them. But in 1 Kings chapter 11 and Ezra chapter 9, they mention the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Edomites, the Egyptians. That's not named in Deuteronomy chapter 7. But they're not named because we didn't take their land. That's it. But they're still included. Some people say that that's a misinterpretation. That the Bible is in error for that. No. Yeah, towel. Make sense? Okay? Make sense? Besides, that's a cop-out. Tell me who the Jebusites are today? Who the Girgashites are today? You think brothers know who the people are right now? Brother, she's not a Girgashite. You don't even know who the Girgashites are. That's a cop-out. That's what that is.
The only thing I heard people say was about Moabite being Asian.
Yeah, supposedly.
That's all the statue
Who's that? Here we go. Any other questions or comments? All right. So, again, just to repeat, today we talked about the fear of the Lord. That's what I want to revert us back to. Job 28, verse 12 through the end of the chapter. Ecclesiastes chapter 2. That's what should be meditated on today and every day thereafter. That's what should be meditated on in all aspects. We brought this up because, again, I was able to get the account open. So we have our secure pot that we're going to start to invest in so we get some land and separate from the society. As far as somebody not doing whatever, can't worry about that. All you can worry about is you. And so with worrying about yourself, please understand, as the scripture said in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, you have to be able to endure temptation. You have to be able to endure hardship, adversity. If you do not, it will be very clear to yourself and maybe it'll be clear to others that, I mean, to be quite honest, you're not worthy. You're not worthy of the Lord's mercy. You're not worthy of His promises or anything like that. Because that's the whole point of why it's done in the first place. Period. We don't need to read nothing else but that. So we only read 2 things today. Some other stuff came out because of questions. That's fine. Ask your questions. But make sure that is meditated on today. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Do we have any other questions or comments about anything regarding the scriptures?
Can I read Wisdom of Solomon,
What?
chapter 6, verses 12 through 19?
What? Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 12. That's in your apocryphals, okay? Wisdom of Solomon is in your apocryphals. You said chapter 6. Chapter 6, verse 12 through 20.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse
Yeah, you have to read it a little louder.
This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 12. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. She preventeth them that desire her, making herself first known unto them. Whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail. He shall find her sitting at his doors. To think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom. And whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. For she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorably unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. For the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love. And love is the keeping of her laws, and the giving heed unto her law is the assurance of incorruption. And incorruption maketh us near unto God. Therefore, the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. And I think that just summarizes perfectly the lesson today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that verse. Awesome. We appreciate it very much. Very much. Any other questions or comments for today? All right. Sister Haver, do you want to mention what you mentioned last week about certain things to be preparing for, like items and stuff? Okay. So, at this point, any items that people want to start stacking up on, obviously you guys have your own lives, you know how you live, you know the daily necessities that you all need. Start stacking up on those things. Certain provision, just as an example, I'm sure people have certain personal care needs, things that don't really expire. Start stacking up on those things. Daily essentials, water, etc., right? Those are things that you have to start thinking about. So just start imagining yourself not having certain conveniences, and those will give you the answers of certain things that you might want to start stocking up on and saving up on at home. In the process of us bringing our resources together, again, so that we can separate ourselves from the society.
Well, that's good to do in my name. So it was caught in that hour.
If it was what?
What would be our game?
Oh yeah. Okay, I forgot about that. Yeah, I was talking about stuff. That's why I was, But anyway, I'm not gonna talk about that on the live. I'm gonna get off the live and say that. Let me get off the live and say that. So, anything else? Any other announcements that anybody wanted to bring out?
Has anyone ever done a GoFundMe? Know anything about it? Y'all think that's a good idea to maybe see about?
Well, how would we even donate?
We have Israelites from all over the world. They want to help us. Even $1 to help.
People exclusively to people that's awake.
You're not gonna be able to do that. If you post something, depending on who you, because obviously a GoFundMe works like you post something online, and your followers may be all in the truth, but that don't mean that all they followers are the truth. So when they decide to either repost or share your post, it doesn't matter who they share it to. So at that point, there is no limitation on who can see what. That is public information. Like I said, I think that that's something that you're inspired to do. Something you should do.
I'll have an update for y'all next week, and I'll set it up this week.
Anyone else?
GoFundMe. I just seen the lady that got hit by a brick get thousands of dollars, so I'm thinking we can get some money too, right?
I don't think it worked like that.
No?
No, she actually got money.
She got a whole bunch
She
of
actually
money.
got money.
She did, but they found out that it was
Yeah, it was fake.
We actually have a good cause, and maybe people will help.
Well, that's a different cause, though. I'm talking about the truth over somebody else that got hit by a brick. But she was hit by a brick.
You right, I'm doing that. That's why I was asking, 'cause I don't think it's perfectly pointless.
I guess, I mean, if you're trying to say, I guess if you say.
Well, let's have one person at a time. One person at a time. Okay. So I heard Sister Yehuda, Sister Luna, Sister Haven, Brother Gabe, y'all wanted to say something in regards to his point, so just one at a time. I don't see it not being a point.
I don't see that either.
Oh,
I don't know about it. I
Me?
have no time to think
I
about
don't know much about it. I'll just go do some research and listen to some of y'all next week.
it. And the Egyptians' hands was full of it. I didn't get. I said it was permitted by the Bible. So if you get help from people other than the ones that are awakened, that's what we're trying to do.
I think that's her point.
Honestly,
She said that it was sanctioned by the Father that they did that, like he made it happen. So in essence, she's saying that if somebody does that now, or if people want to give now, she's correlating that to being sanctioned by the Father, correct?
It's not about them doing it, it's about them knowing what the cause is.
Well, that's what I was gonna suggest,
That's right.
because one of my, I was gonna say if y'all were interested in raising money with me, something we can do, but they don't necessarily have to do it, work, like exactly. Y'all go look into it. I don't think. If they want it, not necessarily live, but I mean.
You can sell, you can sell some stuff.
Yeah.
You can sell t-shirts, stuff you can sell.
I mean, it was just something I thought about when we mentioned
I don't think it's bad trying to raise money to be a man. Yeah, I mean, if it would say it's exclusive for Israelites or something, that probably be an issue.
like they have no.
They're not even gonna know what that means. It's only exclusively for Israelites. These people, man, these people don't know what that is, bro. They-
We definitely have to be cautious. We don't want to be a target.
The little old ladies on the TV. The little old ladies on the TV. Jew. Some Fijian holy ladies.
Yeah.
That's what they got on the TV.
Over days.
They said, is that you, lady? You seen that, brother?
well, I ain't seen that.
Yeah, they got the little Jew ladies. And they tell you to donate to get a food basket.
People will donate to you if they feel sorry for you.
I'm like, they got all the money, they can't feed their grandma.
They can feed their grandma. That's a
You
hustle.
got all the money.
Yeah.
All right, they been though.
All right. Well, we can continue the small talk after our prayer, so we're going to go on ahead and end our today's service. Yeah. All right, so we're going to go ahead and conclude today's Sabbath service. Like I said, we can finish our small talk after this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you again today for allowing us to gather here on your holy convocation, on your Sabbath, that you have made for us between you and us throughout all of our generations. We ask that you continue to pour out your spirit, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your understanding upon us, Father, and prepare our hearts to fear your name. We ask that you forgive us of our sins, iniquities, and transgressions, as well as the sins of our fathers, and to restore your covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Not for our sakes do we ask this of you, Father, but for your holy name's sake. So be it.
So